I want to ask you a serious question. And this is just me kind of ranting today. I want to ask you a serious question though. We see the situation in California. Everybody's talking about it. We know that. It's become literally a war zone. Now, on one side, do you say, okay, people have a right to disagree? Okay. On the other side, do we have a right to have a police state? Now, that is the liberal ideology of saying, well, they have a place, they can have freedom, and the police state is the police state. Now, as a conservative, let me kind of weigh in. Having a rights for freedom to protest is one thing. Breaking things and throwing things and burning things and destroying property is not a right of freedom. All right? On the other side, flip side, those same police enforcement. Now, ICE is enforcing federal law, and there's some policemen that are helping. However, the mayor, the attorneys general of California, the governor, along with the chief of police and the sheriff are fully against this, and they're actually fighting against ICE. So at that point, is it a military police state to where federal government should overstep? Does the state overstep? Does the state allow for these things to happen because they're allowing for this quote-unquote freedom of expression, which means they're tearing up everything, is okay? At the same time, we've already spent $1 trillion in the last 8 years on illegal immigration. The freedom of expression, is it freedom of expression when they only have different flags of different places, such as Mexico, Palestine? There's no American flags. What is all this about today? We're going to discuss this issue because it is a very, very tense situation. Freedom versus control. And at that time, what is freedom and what is control? This is one that we need to talk about today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. We're going to talk about this hot button issue. We're going to talk about what freedom is. We're going to talk about what control is. We're going to talk about what control of the problem is. What is police state? See, there's a reverberating sign to where you have the left and right both trying to play. And to be honest with you, we need to quit trying to play. We just need to be honest about everything. By the way, remember that we have lives that we're going to try to do this month. We finally got our live situation handled, so we're going to be doing some more lives in the month of June, so make sure you're watching for those. Also, remember, check out the vlog channel. I know that we talk about some deep issues here, but on Life with Colby Mack, my vlog channel, we literally show you how we live our life and how sustainable and independent and sometimes hard it is. So go check that out. Now let's dive into the issues. Now let's talk first about California. Who is in the right, who's in the wrong? All right, so we tend to say in Republican circles and conservative circles, the states should have the right over the federal government because we believe the state may stand up for us more than the federal government. Okay, that is a talking point of the right. Okay. Now, another talking point of the right, we believe in honor, we believe in respect, we believe in law enforcement. But to what extent? Because we have two sides of law enforcement showing itself in California. The side that we believe that Trump is right by making sure that there is control and order and that people are not here that should be here, that people are here that shouldn't be here, that's illegal. However, the other side of the law enforcement are fighting literally against that. That is literally fighting for the state. So let's first talk about this issue, state versus federal. Is it wrong for the state to stand against the federal government? Because if this was the Biden administration and we were Mississippi, we stood against a lot of those mandates back in 2021 when he became president. We stood against those. Were we wrong or right? Now, we were standing up for true freedom because freedom was about allowing for someone to do or not do as long as we didn't cause a problem. Now, here's the thing. What is freedom? I mean, we're getting deep in this video. We're going to chase some rabbits. Does freedom allow for you to get on the streets and protest? Absolutely. That's what we do when we did like March for Life. However, what is freedom? Is freedom allowing these people to wave other countries' flags and destroy property and burn up and throw rocks, literally there's piles of bricks that has just all of a sudden just magically appeared for these protesters to throw. Who paid for that? That's not freedom of expression and freedom of speech and protesting, is it? That's rioting. Now let's talk about the police again, the state. Gavin Newsom, along with the Attorney General, along with a lot of the state senators, along with the mayor, along with the chief of police. This is where I always tell you, you got to be careful when you say we support the police, because if the police is the enforcement arm of the government, and the military is the enforcement arm of the government, it depends on what side of the government you're on, correct? So we see the mayor, the chief of police, and we see, of course, the governor, attorney general, and state senate pushing against this, and they're saying it's all about state rights. But they're not allowing for truth to come out, because what they're saying is the right is for people to protest, to have people here illegally breaking the law, also to destroy property, breaking the law, also to literally cover their faces and throw bricks at cops. That's breaking the law. So what you've got here is a state standing up for state rights, correct? But they're allowing for their people to break the law. So therefore, that is not what we talk about with state rights. That is completely different than a state like Texas or North Dakota or Mississippi or Texas saying we're not going to follow this, mandate because it goes against the infringement of people's belief. We're going to go against this because it goes against the people's belief. Those things, that is my freedom. Just like I was talking about the seatbelt. I know people get very mad about the seatbelt, but like if I choose to wear or not wear the seatbelt, it does not affect anyone else. It affects me, solely me. So that is a freedom. However, if I choose to drink heavily and get behind the wheel, that is affecting everyone else. So there's a law there that says you can't do that. Okay, so let's go back to the context of Mississippi, saying Mississippi is a state law. Florida had rights to say they're not going to force this mandate. They're not going to force this mandate. However, we're saying California, you can't do that same thing. No, we're not saying that. We're saying California, you can actually have freedoms. The fact is, though, you're breaking the law by quote-unquote having your state freedom. That is what is wrong. So when we come to this situation where who's right, the state or the federal government, and in this case, we're always going to say the federal government because the state is literally allowing for breaking of the law. There should be never a time where a law enforcement will allow for legally laws to be broken. That is exactly what happened. So if we see the chief of police is literally, and the mayor is saying they're allowing for people to destruct their streets, to burn people's cars, to vandalize, to trespass, to literally cause harm, to bust into government buildings, that is, first of all, illegal, but also we should blame and actually arrest the mayor and the chief of police for not doing their job. That's dereliction of duty. So Pam Bondi, instead of getting on Fox News, she should literally be bringing up charges and say, look, we're not going to be political. We're either going to arrest you for not doing your job or you're going to start enforcing the law. So that is the difference when we talk about state and federal law. Now let's go on the flip side. All right, so now we are seeing literally U.S. troops and National Guard come into quote-unquote this area. Now, on the Republican and conservative side, we would say that is a police state, that is martial law. I mean, wouldn't we typically say that if all of a sudden that we saw officers coming in saying you couldn't go to church? We had people coming in like we did during the 2020 time where you couldn't go on the beach. The police would arrest you for going on the beach. You were not harming anybody, but you were literally breaking the law of not being safe and secure and having the social distance thing. You know what I mean? So now what's the difference? Well, here's the difference. We're sending in basically a nationalized police state for one purpose, to have calmness. We're literally seeing police cars being overturned. Literally, the guy that got in front of the police car that stopped, again, I'm sorry, y'all. I hate the guy died. But if you knowingly put yourself in front of an automobile, that's not too smart, is it? Do we believe that's automatically going to just stop the automobile? We don't have special powers. That's like me, if I go stand on a train track, eventually it's not going to look pretty for me because I can't stop the train from coming. Is it the train conductor's fault that I'm standing on the tracks in his way when he hits me? No. So everybody's blaming this police and these ICE leaders for running over the guy. Well, the guy was trying to stop the car. He's not Superman. So this is a very easy situation where, again, this is not protesting. This is trying to break the law. So what the National Guard is coming in to do is now have stability. Now, should they take over California? No. That's a totally different situation. So that's how you hear the media trying to spin this now. Well, Trump's trying to take over. He's literally a dictator. No, he's not. He's just trying to find law and order. I promise you, there's someone in California that just says, this is crazy. We have a mayor, a governor, and state senators, and a chief of police that's allowing for us to spend trillions of dollars now on illegal immigration for them people to be here illegally and to literally destroy Los Angeles and other places like it in the name of what? Flying other countries' flags? That would be considered invasion. So I believe the National Guard can and should be used in this situation. Now there is a very fine line here, because what is the step over the line? Well, the step over the line is instead of getting peace, you make it more of a war. So therefore, Trump's got to be very careful here, because I believe he can be seen as a problem here. He's not a problem, but what I'm saying is, remember, the media is not on his side. These people in California is crazy. What should have happened is do the job and get out of there and be finished, and let it just go to crazy and pandemonium chaos. Because that's what's happening. Literally, the protesters are waving other countries' flags. To me, that is wrong. We should not allow that to happen. That's not a freedom of expression. That's hatred towards the nation that has given you so much. So now let's go back. We've talked about state and federal. Who has rights, state or federal? Well, state has more rights, I believe, than what federal should. However, if the state is breaking laws, federal should step in. All right, well, what about the police? Okay, so let's go back and reiterate. If the police are allowing for laws to be broken, then the National Guard should be allowed to come in. It's kind of like the border. Should we have National Guards on our border? Well, if Border Patrol and the police at those areas cannot do their job, then yes, the National Guard should be there, because we need to keep our nation safe. Now, does that mean the National Guard should be in every city? No, because if law and order is taking place, and if law and order is okay, and if the sheriffs and chiefs are doing their job, then no, there should be a need for National Guard. See, there's the fine line again. But right now, you just heard the chief of police literally dogging ICE and the federal government out. He is playing partisan politics instead of doing his job, because now he's allowing for a city to be torn up. He's allowing for people to break the law because they're there illegally. That is breaking the law. I'm sorry, if they've been there 10 to 20 years, it doesn't matter. They're breaking the law. So then, therefore, we should have National Guard step in. Now let's go to one more issue. When we talk about freedom of expression and freedom of, what is freedom to protest? Now, as a Christian, as a conservative, as a homeschooler, as a homesteading, sustainable farmer that drinks raw milk every day, that raises raw honey, that raises his own food, I'm one of those people that believes in libertarian views and believes in a true freedom. I believe that you should be able to say just about whatever you want to say. Now, here's the line. I don't believe that we should allow for other flags to fly in our nation. I don't believe that your rights should supersede mine. I don't believe that this nation was set up to be free for everybody. I believe it was set up to be a Judeo-Christian Puritan value system of government. That's why they came to America. You can make all the excuses you want. Go back and look why the Pilgrims and Puritans came to America and why this nation was set up. It was set up to be different. So, do I believe you have freedom to say and do all the things that you probably should want to do? Yes. But when you come to destroying property, when you come to hurting someone else, when you come to just trying to hurt the own country that you're in, then that is wrong. No other country would allow you to go to their streets and wave other countries' flags. No other country would allow for their military to have to step in because their local officials are not doing their job. No other country would allow for their borders to be wide open. Even in the third world African cultures and countries, they would not allow you to just come in and do what you want to do and just get government funds. No country does that, especially countries that are successful that are here. So we have to be very careful of what's going on now. Now, do I believe that we should have illegal immigrants taken out of this country? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I believe if I went to every other country, no matter what kind of ground I buy, no matter what kind of, well, first of all, I couldn't even buy land. I could not do anything in their lands because they have laws. We've just allowed our laws to be lax because Democrats want to lax the law. But if I chose to go over to another country, no matter how many children I have in that country, no matter how much I try to work and contribute in that country, if I'm there illegally, they're going to kick me out eventually. Well, America should do the same thing. I hate the emotions of it. It's sad. But again, if you've been breaking the law this long, then you still should go out of country and get back to the country of origin. Should you be arrested? I mean, no. You should be deported. Simple as that. If your family wants to go, absolutely. There's no such thing as anchor babies. I think that's ridiculous that we're even allowing that to happen, because that is exactly what's caused a lot of this problem. Come here real quick, have a baby, and then all of a sudden you get to stay. Come here real quickly, have a baby, and maybe you'll get the votes and taxpayer-funded benefits. It's wrong. So, does states have rights? Yes. Does states have rights to break the law? No. Okay? Does the federal government need to have martial law? Typically, no. But does the federal government deserve to have their laws obeyed, especially when they are about the Constitution? Yes. Do we have freedoms? Yes. Should those freedoms allow you to express it by tearing stuff up and breaking the other laws? No. It's that simple. We try to construe this because we allow the governments and the lawyers and the Senate and the Congress to quote-unquote interpret it different ways. There is no interpretation. Well, people are like, well, Colby, what about the federal law when Biden said that we had to wear these and then you chose not to? No, that was not law. That was not a constitutional law. That was an interpretation of an executive order that he passed. See, that's how they get you. That's how the media changes the narrative. The legal immigration, they've always been illegal. It's not because Trump set this new policy. It's just because the last few presidents did not want to touch the issue. Constitutional law, constitutional crisis, that's what we're in right now. Do we believe in states' rights? Absolutely. But not states' rights to break the law. If they are harboring people that should not be harbored, they shouldn't be here anymore. Simple as that. Now, as a Christian conservative, as a homesteader who believes in raising his own food, drinks raw milk every day, as someone who homeschools his children because he doesn't believe in the government way of schooling, as someone who literally does not even want his kids to marry outside those same circles because I want my kids to marry people that have the same values as us. I believe in freedom. Trust me. I also believe in less taxes. Trust me. I believe in less regulation. Trust me. I believe in less government intervention in my life. Trust me. But there needs to be some form of semblance of civility, because if not, total anarchy takes off. What we're seeing in California is total anarchy. Not because people are standing up for freedom or Constitution. People are standing up for whatever they believe in. No matter how much it harms somebody else, no matter what they do as in blowing up things and burning buildings and busting windows. That's not freedom of expression. That's called breaking the law. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. I just wanted to tell you this. If we want America to be America, we have to believe in America. We have to go back to the thought patterns of reawakening truly what the founders wanted, which is a moral, conservative, freedom-minded orientation of what America is. We also have to have revival. We need spiritual healing. I mean, we're in the month of June, which makes this even weirder because there is some evil debauchery going on right now in the month of June. I'm so glad that it's better than what it was the last few years. But if anything, why would we want pride in something that is wrong? Why? We should want pride in one thing, and that's in the spiritual blessings of God. We're nothing without Him, and we need to fall back on that. We need true revival. So we need reawakening, We need revitalization. We need revival. And we need a reset. And here's the reset I'm talking about. Your Congress, a lot of your state Congress as well, but your national Congress is laying us down. The judges are standing up for non-constitutional things like all these situations. I mean, did you know that El Salvadorian guy that we've been saying that's not coming back, he's back? And you know, all this activist judges that's trying to keep all these people here, that's wrong. They're not following the Constitution, they're following their interpretation or following their own beliefs, which is completely foolish. So we need a reset. We need to really look at the Constitution once more and say, okay, if we're going to have revival, if we're going to have reawakening, we're going to have revitalization, we're going to have revival, we need a reset. And we need people that are thinking like-minded, freedom-oriented, spiritually grounded, and literally trying to do things better. What's going on in California? They're not trying to make life better. Burning things up, tearing vehicles up, busting windows, how's that making life better? That's what you have to ask yourself. Step back and just say, okay, if we believe that they're actually doing things for the right reasons, would you tear up things for it? If you believe you were raising your family right, would you, to teach them right and wrong, would you tear your house up just to prove a point? No. You would do it in a way that's thought-provoking, wise, and have a common sense approach of raising your family. You wouldn't bust down all your windows and say, don't do this. No, you would be sensible. What's happening in California is not sensible. And guess what? If they don't stop it, it's going to happen in New York. It's going to happen in Seattle. It's going to happen in every other liberal city. If you're in these places and you're conservative, you better get out. I mean, California's already pushing against the farmer, against the homeschooler, and now, I mean, you're paying taxes higher than anybody. Why are you doing that? There is a battle happening right now in California where they're literally standing up for people who are not American versus you being American. Come on. Get out of these areas. It's not worth the fight anymore. It's kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah when they said, Lot, you got to get out. You just got to get out. I'm sorry. The fight is no longer worth it because your children don't need to be sacrificed for it. Your mental stability does not need to be sacrificed for it. And sometimes we just got to write it off. If I was Trump, I'd let them destroy whatever they're going to destroy because they made a hard bed, they need to sleep in it. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. I would get my ice guys out and say, you know what? You want these problems? Here you go. Have at it. However, we're cutting your funding. No more federal funds going because you're not listening to the federal government. Why do we want to keep putting federal funds there? I promise you, when you start holding funds, California and Gavin's going to have a lot of different views. Or they're going to overtax their people and everybody's going to get out of the state. Simple as that. That's how you solve the problem. Guys, give me your thoughts on the whole situation. I mean, what do you believe about martial law? Is it martial law? What do you believe about the police state? What do you believe about the National Guard? What do you believe about states' rights versus federal rights? I think we hashed out pretty good on this video. But give me your thoughts below. Comment. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.